Welcome back. In a rich and reflective conversation, we sat down with advertising legend Ambi Parmeshwaran to unpack the sharp insights from his new book, Marketing Mixology. Known for his clarity of thought and decades of experience, Ambi explores marketing as a careful craft where everything must be mixed just right. He didn't hold back on calling out today's marketing over-reliance on data at the cost of creativity, warning that algorithms can't replace empathy. We also delved into how brands must rewire their approach for India's Tier 2 and Tier 3 audiences, where regional relevance now trumps national templating. From shifting agency-client dynamic to mentoring Gen Z marketers, Ambi, as always, brought a refreshing blend of wisdom and wit. Listen into this chat. Ambi, welcome to CNBC TV 18 again. Yet another book, and I must admit at the onset, I loved reading it because I speak to so many CMOs on a regular basis, but to really, go behind the curtain to see how it all works, you've given great insights through this book, Marketing Mixology.
Yeah, so first of all, Shubhani, thanks for inviting me on your show. Once again, it's great fun to be back talking to you about yet another book, my latest, Marketing Mixology.
I also like some of the examples and anecdotes that you've given in the book. Speaking about negotiation, you compare it to how, you're negotiating to buy a toy for your own daughter. So that's a great example. But speaking about today's marketing, it's fast evolving. So what are some of the things that, have stayed consistent since, you set foot into this space as compared to, what is the situation now?
You're making me sound as if I'm kind of belonging to the Jurassic era, but probably I do. Yes. So what is happening today is there's a lot of glitz and digital, shine. Everything is digital. But the fundamentals of marketing should not change, which is to understand who's my target consumer and what role does the brand play in the life of the target consumer and what can I do to satisfy the needs of the consumer. Now, a lot of times, especially in the new era, we all get kind of bedazzled by CAC and CTR and CDC and all that stuff, that you forget that who's the consumer. If he's clicking, why is he clicking? If he's buying, why is he buying? Or if someone is coming and abandoning the shopping cart, why are they abandoning it? Can digital tools give you the answer? Maybe it can't. In which case, do you go and meet your customers? That's the question I ask. A lot of these so-called direct-to-consumer brands, do you know who your customer is? Have you gone and met them? So if you don't meet them, you're missing out on something. So so those fundamentals will not change.
Yeah. Mixology is often we hear in the context of making cocktails.
Yep.
And the most important ingredient of a cocktail is, of course, the liquid gold, which is your alcohol that you put in it. Good quality, of course, makes the cocktail better. But in this marketing mixology, what is the most important ingredient according to you, Ambi?
So I think in marketing mixology, the most important ingredient is understanding consumers. That's critical. That is the centerpiece. So even if you go and talk to a mixologist, and I've been doing these book launches in different cities. I did one in Bombay, I've done one in Chennai, and invariably I always invite a mixologist to come and talk. What do they say? They say it's not about the drink. It's about the customer. So we first talk to the customer.
What they want.
Yeah, and then find out what kind of customer is he or she, and then we create a drink for that customer, right? So these are highly evolved mixologists. They're not the kind of guys who just make your, Bloody Mary or screwdriver. They actually curate things for you. So similarly in marketing, it's all about the customer. It's not about your product. It's not about your service. It's about the customer. Where is the customer coming from? What can you do to make the customer happy? And what can you do to make the customer come back again?
You said understanding the customer or the consumer. Customer in the B2B context and consumer in the B2C is what is explained in the book, is very, very essential. That is what marketers are obsessed with these days, getting the customer data. So how much, in your experience, has getting in all the data worked, and how much of it has been the gut instinct that has worked, to make a campaign successful?
No, I think, obviously, all good companies invest a lot in research, in consumer research, but a lot of times this research is kind of done for the sake of ticking a box. People are not really getting involved. And the contra argument is that, Steve Jobs has said that if I had gone and asked the consumer, I would have never launched those products. And Henry Ford has said that if I'd asked the consumer, they would have asked for a faster horse, right? So that's also there.
Yeah.
But the point is, these are smart people. I'm sure they went and spent time with the consumers, understood the consumers, figured out that I can change the consumer. So it's, if you only talk to consumers and only take what they say and literally, give them what they say they want, you'll be stuck. You got to go talk to consumers, maybe one of the fringes, right? Consumers who are very heavy users, consumers who are kind of innovators. You need to find out what will tickle them and then find out whether that can work with the larger set of consumers. Smart companies do that. Companies also today have a lot of digital data coming at them. So are they analyzing the digital data the right way? Are they going through the data to find out the insight? What is the insight? Why is the consumer doing what they're doing? Why is the consumer not buying the product? And then go and address that through campaign, through advertising, whatever it is. One has been doing it in the past. Today, the thing is that you're constantly getting information about consumers. Consumer is posting a review, someone is posting a blog, someone is tweeting about something. As a company, you need to monitor all that. But at the same time, you cannot get kind of distracted by all that. So it's a combination of these two. You need to manage that. That's what I've said in the book. Yeah.
And another thing that marketers today are obsessed with is to tap into the discerning Gen Z consumer. Your book also targets the younger consumer, the younger audience. Ambi, having said that, what is one of the most interesting insight have you learned about, the Gen Z consumer or the younger consumer that really had you surprised?
One of the terms which my students threw at me a couple of months ago is skintellectual.
Skintellectual.
So today, consumers are becoming intellectual about skin. So the consumer is saying, oh, Mr. L'Oreal, I don't want to buy your product. I want a product which has 5% retinol. I want a product which has 3% ceramide. Right? I'm very clear. My skin type is this. I've got slightly bigger pores. To fill that pores, I need this particular ingredient.
Yeah.
And they're willing to pay money for it.
Yeah.
Now, 10 years ago, this consumer didn't exist. Today, one, they're very knowledgeable.
Or well read about.
Yeah, shall we say, somewhat more knowledgeable, somewhat well read.
Yeah.
They also know what they want, and they're willing to pay for it. Happening in every category, whether it is apparel, hair care, skin care, food. Look at the kind of multiple, nutrition bars which are come out. Brands like Yoga Bar got acquired by ITC, who might, know. And then, of course, Max Protein got acquired by Zydus.
Yeah.
They cost a lot of money, but consumers are willing to pay.
Pay for the value that they get out of that product.
Because they're knowledgeable. They say, I want 10 grams of protein. The normal energy bar or whatever,
doesn't give me that.
Yeah, 5-star gives only calories. I want protein.
Yeah.
Protein I'll get from Max Protein or I get from Yoga Bar. And you're a almost a quote-unquote professional marathoner, so you know, right? What you need to drink when you're running, after running. So a lot of consumers are emerging, like this. They're becoming more knowledgeable, willing to pay more.
Yeah.
And that's changing entire markets. It's changing.
Yeah. And it's not just one India, though, that we live in. There are multiple Indias within this country. Whenever I have a conversation with any of these FMCG companies, they say that we do, the social media campaigns with influencers, we do all the personalized ads and all on digital platforms. And then at the other end, we, for the similar, product range, we also do wall paintings in rural India. So we live in multiple Indias. So what, according to you, are some of the things that, marketers could get right when it is about reaching out to the consumer in these tier 3 markets or the rural markets, the markets beyond metro cities? What can they do right?
The big mistake is dumbing down content. Say that, look, a tier 2 customer, tier 3 customer will not understand this. Who says so? Go and meet them and talk to them. You never know. They may actually understand as much as a tier 1 customer, right? So you need to, I think, invest in understanding those customers and figure out what will work for them, what will not work for them. Obviously, I mean, even in the past, this was true. The rural customer is very clear, saying, look, मुझे वही चीज़ चाहिए जो मेरा भाई लखनऊ में यूज़ करता है. मुझे दूसरा प्रोडक्ट नहीं चाहिए. But I'll not pay that much for it, so figure out how to charge me less. So that's the reality today. They know. They talk to people all the time. They know I mean, to use an old term, they don't want to be treated like country cousins. Because they are quite knowledgeable, right? But the point is they may not have the money, they may not be able to pay more. So you have to innovate in terms of pack sizes, whatever, and give it to them. And then they'll buy it, right? The mistake you make is to say that tier 2, tier 3 customer is not very intelligent. That would be wrong.
So the marketers should get out and, have their ears to the ground to understand what the consumers want, even in these markets, listen to them, and then not dumb down the communication.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ambi, you've worked on so many campaigns in your, amazing career in advertising. What is the campaign that, that you watch even today that has, required a lot of hard work by you and your team, and that still gives you goosebumps even now?
Well, the brand which I was involved with for many, many years is Tata Motors, and I worked on all their initial launches. And after getting out of FC Bulka, I've also done workshops for Tata Motors. I'm still thrilled to see the kind of new cars which are being rolled out by Tatas. There's a new car called Curve, which is really beautiful looking. And I'm also pretty impressed with the work, the new cars coming out of Mahindra. The new electric range is amazing. So whenever I see these new cars, I say, look, it all started with a car called Indica, which people thought will fail. Right? That's where, India's journey in automotive manufacturing started. And look at where it is today. I mean, we are competing. Mahindras and Tatas are competing with global majors.
Like Kia and Hyundai.
Hyundai, Kia, Suzuki, they're competing with them. They're doing much better than the so-called big boys of America, General Motors, Chrysler, Ford. They're doing better than them.
Yeah.
In a sense, it all started with Indica. And Indica was given up as a failure, and then we did Indica V2. So, in a small way, I was involved in the success of Indica. So, whenever I go and see the new cars in a Tata showroom or a Mahindra showroom, I get very thrilled saying, look, I played a small role in this. So, one feels very happy.
That's fantastic. With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can catch all of our content on Facebook, X and YouTube. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time next week. See you soon.